Mind Candy.
Hey guys, this is Bono, the original. Welcome to another episode of Mind Candy. Hey guys, listen. Today I want to talk to you guys about some situations that are happening in our society today, and I believe that we need to address these things. Okay, there are so many things that are going on in our society right now that it's unbelievable, the things that are happening in the greatest country of the world, right? That is the United States of America. So I'm sure we all have heard of the situations as far as the shooting of African Americans, unarmed African American men in this country. Now, this topic is very touchy in some manners, just because nobody seems to want to agree on how to address the issue. And so what I want to do today is just kind of, give you my opinion and tell you the things that are on my mind, in the sense that, I want us to come to a solution. There are certain questions that are not being asked, and I feel like everybody's making it into a completely and utter racial division. But what I think it is, I think this is a people and a human issue, right? I think this is an accountability issue, but unfortunately, we're not addressing that in that manner. And so what I want to do today is just kind of talk to you about what's going on. So in my opinion, I feel like this country has so much more to offer in terms of life, obviously liberty, and you can say freedom as well. And what is happening in our country as far as individuals getting killed unarmed, I know everybody wants to take the situation and turn it into a racial thing, but I really personally don't want to believe that in this country, in this day and age, that there are cops out there, there are white cops out there who are waking up every single morning and saying to themselves, I'm out to kill a black person. To be honest with you, I just really cannot get myself to believe that. And I'm not saying there's not individuals who are bad that are doing things like that, because we live in a dirty world. We live in a world where it's sinful. There are always going to be bad people. There are always going to be bad people. But what I want to say to everyone who is listening to this podcast is just, how are you approaching the situation? Just think about that. How are you approaching the situation? Often we all want to give our opinions, right? We all want to be the first one to be heard. We all want to be the loudest one to be heard. But my question to you is, how are you approaching the situations that are happening in our country today? Okay? And are you asking the right questions? There's certain questions that are not being asked because we're too focused on the color issue, on the racial issues, okay? How do we address things that are happening right now in our society? How do we address the fact that there are people being killed on the street? Take the color out of it, because we can argue all day whether or not African Americans are scary and so they deserve to be shot, whether African Americans are killing each other. We can argue those things every single day, but people, what we are not asking ourselves is, how are we addressing the situation? What is it that we need to do as individuals to make our lives better, right? What is it that we need to do as individuals to come together, right? Those are the questions that are not being asked. What is it that we need to do as a society to make our life better, to live in a harmony type of society? When we start to ask those questions, what happens is we start to get in-depth thoughts. We start to get in-depth solutions, right? Do we need to love more? Because I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to come together and love each other more. Because I'm not really seeing that at the moment. Do we need to love more? Ask yourself that. Do we need to love more? Because I think there's a lot of opportunity for that to happen. Okay? Do we need to understand other people more? You see, everybody wants to give their opinions, and that's fine because we're all entitled to our opinion. That is the beauty of this country. We're supposed to be able to give our opinions, and that's great. That's great. But in the process of giving your opinion, are you also stepping back? Are you stepping back and asking yourself, how is this person feeling? Are you doing that? Are you taking the time to listen to other people's opinions? You know, those are just ways of thinking about it, because I just believe there are a lot of people in this country right now who are not really willing to listen. When somebody gets killed, we're saying, well, if he only would have had his hand up, if he only would have listened to instruction. I'm here to tell you today, guys. I'm here to tell you today, if an individual does not listen to you, that does not give them the right to, does not give the other party the right to kill somebody. There is no human being that has the right to murder, kill someone for any means of action or, any justification, right? And because the reason I say that, because life is the only entity that is priceless. The only entity. So when African Americans are trying to convey their struggle, their stress, and their culture, other people are not willing to listen. We're making excuses. Now I get it, right? I understand it. Not everybody in this country is bad. We have to understand that, guys. Not every African American is a thug. We have to understand that. So stepping back and realizing not every African American is a thug. Not every African American is, uneducated or is ignorant, right? Not every African American live in poverty, right? So there's these stereotypical perception that we have, not only of African Americans, but other minorities out there. And one of the things I like to challenge everybody is to really sit back and ask yourself, what am I doing to rectify the situation? What am I doing to add value, to the situation to make our lives better? Things are happening in this country, folks, and nobody's willing to listen. And it starts with communication, right? At the end of the day, nobody can sit here and justify the fact that, or say that all white people are racist. That will be the most stupid thing to say. Nobody in here or that is listening to the podcast can say all African Americans or, worthless, or all African Americans are thugs, right? That would be the most stupid thing to say, right? But there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger going on in our country today. And it just stems from the fact that nobody's willing to listen. Everybody's willing to give their 2 cents, but who's willing to listen? And who's willing to put themselves in the shoes of other people, other cultures, and other race, right? At the end of the day, folks, at the very end of the day, cops are people themselves. Okay? Cops are people themselves. Cops are people killing people. I just hate to believe that, the struggles that are happening right now, we're turning a blind eye to it simply because we're looking at it in a racial manner, right? At the end of the day, cops are killing people. Yes, there's a lot more African American people being killed right now, but if we really want to solve this issue, it can't just be a racial issue. This is a systemic issue, right? What is happening in our system right now is not just a racial contingency. We have to understand that we are being led to believe that human beings' life for the human being is not valued right now. There are people out there killing other people. There should be no human being that have the right to take another person's life. And where their anger really lies amongst society right now is the fact that when other people, cops, kill other people, civilians, right, they are not being held accountable. They're not being held accountable. This is the real issue right here. They're not being held accountable. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? How do we change the perspective? How do we change the outcome to live better as a society? What do we do to bring down these things that are happening in our society right now? What is it that we need to do? You know, do these cops need better training? Do our society need a whole, like another cleansing, in the sense that we need to change our mindset to really look at people as people? Not as black people, not as white people, but as human beings. What is it that we need to do to change our minds to make our lives better? Are you asking yourselves that? Are you asking the people around you that? Or are you just making dumb arguments just to sound or just to hear yourself speak? Guys, these are the challenges that we're facing, right? I just can't bring myself to believe that again, there are cops out there that are waking up every single morning saying, I'm gonna go off and kill a nigga today. I just cannot believe that. I don't want to believe that, because I innately believe there are people who are good in this country. We want a world where we can live in and everybody can come together and live a happy, cohesive life. I just don't want to believe that. But where the anger stemmed from is the fact that there are people out there killing people and there's nothing being done about it. There are absolutely nothing being done about it. So what is it and how is it that we're going to fix the solution? How is it? And what do we need to do? Because I can guarantee you, fighting amongst ourselves, dividing ourselves, are not going to rectify the situation. It's just really not going to rectify the situation. There's no way you can sit here and divide yourselves as people, as human beings, and feel like we're going to come to any cohesive understanding, right? The problem is not a racial issue right now. It may seem like that because that's what the media is portraying, right? Because that's all we're seeing is African American people getting killed. But there are also, white Americans getting killed. There are also Mexican Americans being killed. There are also gays being killed. There's a lot of issue in this country today that we're not facing, but we're sitting here trying to categorize it individually rather than attacking it cohesively, right? So what is it that we need to do to come together? Ask yourself that before you go off making insensitive comments and have an insensitive opinion, to which I believe you're entitled to your opinion. But are you adding to the situation that makes the situation better? Or are you adding to the situation to make it worse? That's what you need to ask yourself. Thank you, guys. Until next time, you have been listening to Mind Candy.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to another episode of Mind Candy. If you like this podcast, please like us, share us, or post us on your social media.
And guys, while you're at it, make sure to check us out on Stitcher.com, search the Mind Candy Podcast, and give us a rating.